Okay, so I was reading Newsweek magazine, specifically the Bruce Lee special edition. I bought this a decent while back, and for whatever reason I was going through it again when I came across a Michael Jai White special best fights, like his top 5 greatest Bruce Lee fight moments. And I take a strange issue with it. Okay, so before we even get into it, let's drop a couple of things first off. Michael Jai White, and I believe his name is Jai. I should have actually looked it up specifically. I believe I've heard it before. And to say this, I've seen people where they say J, Michael J. White. I think that's when people are simply saying J as his initial. I believe it's Jai. But anyways, this is the same guy that years ago said that he was massively influenced by Bruce Lee. And then went on to say that he could have beat Bruce Lee in a fight because weight classes matter. Well, weight classes do matter. They're there for a reason. But I don't know about that. And a lot of fans gave him a lot of shit for this years back, and even today, I want to say he actually visited the grave of Bruce Lee at one point, and even posted. I can't remember if it was on Twitter or what. This was a long time ago, but he posted that the biggest regret he had in his life was ever saying that he could beat Bruce Lee. I don't think this was any kind of a thing like him trying to be like, I'm a bad motherfucker. But sometimes he says some shit like that where he's not thinking. He's just not thinking. I've seen this a couple of times with him where he does shit like this because he also, at the same time, years back, I want to say I remember him talking about the Shaolin Temple, and he was trying to educate people about what the Shaolin Temple was and what it really is and things like that. And basically some of the shit that he said, there's literal people who have been in the Shaolin Temple who have actually trained and lived there that have come out and said, he don't know what the fuck he's talking about. So, like, crazy shit like that, this guy's always kind of on the fence of putting his foot in his mouth. But let's give him credit. Let's give him credit where he deserves it. He's a fine martial artist. Always has been, always will be. He's a great action star. He does fucking fantastic movies. He's a bad motherfucker. A legitimate bad motherfucker. He is. There's no taking that away from him. He's a fucking cool dude. That's not a joke. He's a cool dude. He seems really laid back, down to earth. He seems like a legitimate good guy. It's just that every now and then he puts his foot in his mouth. It's happened a couple of times. And maybe, just maybe, I feel like he may have done it again here with this. Because I found this list in the magazine as I was reading it. I get to this part where he does his top 5. And I'll go ahead and post them over there. But anyways, he does his top 5 list. And this is the issue that I found with it. Because I imagine that this dude is not joking when he says he's a huge Bruce Lee fan. And I imagine that being into martial arts the way he is, holding the kinds of records he has and things like that, I imagine he's seen more than one movie, but look at this. Tang Long versus Armed Thugs. Way of the Dragon. Okay. Solid. That's when he gets the nunchucks out. He gets the 2 pairs of nunchucks and he wrecks all those guys in the back alley. And I believe this is the This is the second time that he meets the thugs in the alley, because this is where he has the darts and he throws them and he takes care of their guns and whatnot, and then goes after them. That's fine. That's fine. That's a fine choice. That's a damn fine choice. That not only put nunchucks in Bruce Lee's hands, wasn't the first time that we saw that, but it put nunchucks in Bruce Lee's hands and put two in Bruce Lee's hands. And at the same time, he also used a bow staff in that movie. That Way of the Dragon is fantastic. It is easily one of his greatest movies that he has ever done. But we go on from there, and his number 4 is Lee vs. Han. That's a good one too. Lee vs. Han is one of those things that we're definitely not going to take away from him. It's absolutely solid. It's a wonderful pick to be in his top 5, because the fight set a standard that is followed even today when we talk about this kind of stuff. And I'm not kidding. I'm telling you, there is a standard that fight set that is followed today in action movies to this day. 100%, no doubt in my mind. I'm telling you, it's true. And there's this one moment, like my favorite moment in that whole fight, where it shows the back of Han's head, and I'm telling you, this is a dummy, because he does this fucking kick where he's like, ah, and he just comes across, bam, and he hits so hard and so fast that the dummy, like, it's just obliterated, okay? And you could tell that he didn't actually kick. He didn't. Right there, I'm telling you, the fight should have been over. I don't care who you are. Somebody kicks you like that in the head, the fight is over. But of course, movie and things like that. And this is the same fight where they end up in the room of mirrors at the end. Fantastic pick. Number 3, Lee versus Han's guards. This is the first. It's the fight scene in Enter the Dragon. Also, the top one was Enter the Dragon. But this is the fight where he fights during Enter the Dragon, and he fights all the guardsmen down below. And that's when he gets captured, and they take him up to Bolo and things like that. And that's when he gets released, and he starts the big riot and everything like that. But the fight with the guards, is literally one of the greatest fight scenes ever filmed in the history of fight movies. And even today, it is hard to top. Going on from there, we have Lee versus Ohara. Once again, a solid fight. We're not going to take that away. It's a solid fight. That is the fight that avenges the character's sister. Absolutely wonderful fight, and really shows off Bruce Lee's speed. It is, wow. That push hand speed is unbelievable. Going on from that, he picks his greatest moment as Tang Long versus Colt. I may be willing to say he did pick a 100%, without a doubt, great. This may be the greatest fight that Bruce Lee has ever been in terms of film. This may be the best fight he ever filmed. Is the film is when he fought Chuck Norris. That is one of the greatest fights. It's so good. It's so good. But here's my issue. Because I said that I took a little bit of an issue with it. He took the top 5 greatest fights that he believes were ever on film. Fight scenes. Top 5 greatest fight scenes from Bruce Lee. And he picked all of them in only 2 movies. Way of the Dragon and Enter the Dragon. And that's it. That's it. Fist of Fury didn't make the list. Like when he fights the school. And I'm willing to say that when he fights the school, it gets a little goofy when he's rolling around on the ground, hitting everybody in the legs with his nunchucks. But like, that's a pretty solid movie. And it has a pretty sick ending too. When he actually goes into the dojo and starts fighting the people in the dojo, and he fights the masters, that is pretty solid, because he not one, but twice does he face a sword. One time he faces a guy that has a samurai sword, he does it with just his hands. And then he does another fight where it's nunchuck versus a sword. And both of those fight scenes are very well done, but man, the school, I can't believe that he wouldn't have picked something like the school. I feel like if we go even further back from there, the very first fight that he ever had with, say, like in The Big Boss, that fight at the end of that movie, that's also very solid. Like, remarkably solid. And so, I can't believe it. I really can't. It's just really shocking for me to know that, man, I hope my mic isn't picking this up. All of a sudden, there's a lot of noise downstairs. I think they're running blenders or doing something, or vacuuming or something, but I don't know. There's a lot of noise. But anyways, like, you have a lot of movies to choose from, and you only picked 2. And I would also argue that Game of Death, going up the pagoda, those are some damn good fight scenes. This would be a tough list for me. I don't think I could narrow this down from one. In fact, I would almost have to tell you that if I did something like this, my list would almost have to be, like, if I picked a movie, I picked the best of that movie and I moved on. You can't give it all to one movie. Being a huge Bruce Lee fan is, I know he is. There's no doubt in my mind he has to be a huge Bruce Lee fan. And yet for some reason it was just kind of like, yeah, I like 2 movies. I don't know, I just found this list very interesting. It really got me thinking, got me kind of confused because I don't know. I'm telling you, he has to be a fan of all these movies. And for him not to think that the other fight scenes, like Game of Death is an awful movie. But the part where Bruce Lee is in it, and he goes up the pagoda and he fights the 3 different men, all 3 of those fight scenes are amazing. And if you can cheat, I would tell you that the three levels of the pagoda are easily some of the greatest fight scenes he ever filmed. And the school where he fought the entire school of kids, like that also didn't get, it just surprises me. It does. It's just something that surprises me. I don't know. Anyways, well, that was his list. This magazine was from a while ago. There's other topics that I have to cover today, but this got me thinking. I don't know. I just read this and I was like, wow, he only picked 2 movies. Maybe I should do a list. Oh well, later on.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.